Hello, my name is Anthony Kiprianu and I'll be speaking about different coaching philosophies and approaches for different groups of participants. It's not really about the different ability levels, so are participants here just to participate, develop, or do they want to reach an elite level? It's not really about that. It's about the similarities at a participant level, the similarities that you can find in these different philosophies and approaches across different sports. Maybe you're a PE teacher, or maybe you're just coaching after school clubs. So this presentation is mainly about the similarities that I think every coach should really have. So throughout this presentation we're going to be looking at clips from this particular YouTube video. In this YouTube video I think it demonstrates how to be a good coach. This is through communicating with our players, taking into account their learning styles and how we can motivate our players to actually develop and perform well. So we're going to watch this little clip firstly just to see how we can communicate well.
In this chapter, we focus on what makes an effective communicator and the different ways in which a coach can convey their message. These include the four main types of verbal communication: informing, whereby you seek to convey information; request, where you seek someone's assistance; influence, where your presentation and syntax, as well as what you say, communicates your message; and entertain, usually through a sense of humour.
So we have just heard the four main types of verbal communication. They said the first one would be to inform your participants. So when you're informing your participants, you want to think about the coaching points you're trying to get across. You want to try and give them details, maybe of technique, or how they should be acting, or what they should be doing to actually perform the technique and do it well. The next one is request. You want your participants to maybe feel comfortable to request maybe in a demonstration or just another way of learning, because we all have different learning styles which we'll come across next. Then you've got the influence. You want to be presentable, you don't want to be swearing, you want to have a good influence on your participants. Whatever you do, the participants tend to copy. So if you're giving out bad demonstrations or saying bad things, maybe your participants will come across that and start doing it themselves. And the last one I think is very important is to entertain. Especially at a participant level, you want to entertain your players so they can come back and enjoy the sport. I think that they'll motivate them more to participate in the sport. If they don't find it fun, then they won't really be motivated to turn up again. Stanford 2011 research says that there are verbal and non-verbal ways of communicating, and that participants will realize whether you're a happy or mad performance due to the words you use or your tone of voice, and maybe your hand gestures and body language. So if you're with a closed posture, it looks like you're not interested and that you're angry at the performance, which could lead to players not performing well as they are demotivated like the coach. As I've just spoken about non-verbal communication, we're going to look at a little clip that has been made about it.
Body language is important. Research suggests over 70% of all our communication is expressed this way. Basic techniques include adopting a neutral posture, then watching your recipients for reactions, dressing appropriately, and being positive in your approach. These may seem like small considerations, but they can have a big impact on your sessions.
Well, it's vital that you find the wavelength or the medium to communicate. That will come in all sorts of forms. Sometimes it can be verbal, sometimes it can be visual, sometimes it's kinesthetic. I think the important thing is that all children, all people learn in different ways. Effective communication, which is the important thing, it's understanding what makes a certain player or group of players learn effectively.
So the video also said about posture being important in non-verbal communication. Like I said before, you want an open posture with your hands by your sides. Another important factor is clothing. You don't want to be wearing anything that the participants aren't allowed to be wearing, such as jewelry. Participants should not be wearing jewelry, and therefore the coach should not be wearing it either. You want to be dressed similar to the participants and wearing clothes that you can perform in. Therefore, the participants will have an appropriate influence on how to dress to every session and every game. So Stafford 2011 then goes on to talk about hand gestures, facial expressions, and demonstrations. Hand gestures, you don't really want to be caught out pointing at a particular player. If they've done something wrong, they could feel intimidated and even embarrassed in front of the whole team. You want to take them to one side and maybe talk to them about how they could do better. Also, you don't want to be caught out pointing to one particular player for doing something well every time, because then the whole team will think, oh, why is he always getting the praise? Why can I never do something right? I never do something right, it's always him. Then you got the facial expressions, which are important. You don't want to have an angry face on all the time. You don't really want to be serious. As we said before, you want to be entertaining the players and participants. So you want to have like a happy face, a bit of humour here and there, and then be serious when the time is right. So it's about timing maybe. And then lastly, demonstrations. You don't want to be demonstrating the wrong technique all the time. When you're demonstrating, you want to be also talking to the participants, asking them what you want from them, and then performing good techniques so that it's easier for the participants to copy. Also in the video, the coach picked up across the 3 main learning styles for the participants, which is visual, auditory, and kinesthetically. Everyone has a different way of learning, and from my research, this shows that there is no one way of learning better than the other. Everyone just has a different way of learning, and you, as a coach, it is your job to get across to the participants in those 3 different ways so they can learn. For example, I took part in the PARC questionnaire earlier on this year, and I found that my best ways of learning is multimodal, but my main way of learning is through oral and kinesthetically. Therefore, I should learn better through being spoken to or being actually taking part in the activity. Therefore, if I'm shown a tactics board during a session or a game, I'm less likely to learn as well, and therefore it would hinder my development. So it's the role of the coach to look at how I learn and maybe speak to me about the task or let me take part in the task. So during my spare time, I've managed to find research that confirms what I've been saying. So NAVN 2011 has said there are 3 main ways of learning, which is VAC, visual, auditory, and kinesthetically. Also, the University of Pennsylvania 2009 says that learning styles is not a skill, but it's a personal preference. Therefore, that there is no one learning style better than another, because it's just how everyone happens to learn. So that brings me on to my last point of this presentation, which is motivation. How can we motivate our participants to perform better? And this next video clip will help us see how we can motivate them.
As a coach, you should be positive and knowledgeable about what is being demonstrated.
What makes a good coach is someone that can interact with their players and help them develop to become a good cricket player. They need to be able to motivate and coach their players to their specific needs and look to get the best out of them at all times.
So, the last coach spoke about how to keep our participants motivated at all times. Emmett 2008 found that there are 2 main ways of motivation. People are either motivated intrinsically or extrinsically. Intrinsic motivation is about being praised for your development. If you're constantly being praised and you're motivated to keep on developing so you can keep receiving that praise. Whereas extrinsic motivators are normally motivated by trophies. If they're seeing that they're winning rewards, even like players of the week or players of the month, or even cup trophies at the end of the season, if they see that they're winning this, they are more than happy to keep on playing, keep on developing in the sport. So my very final point is positivity throughout the participants. The last coach did come across it, and Robinson 2010 research came up with a sandwich theory. So this theory consists of having a positive talk, negative, and then ending on another positive. So at the end of a task, for instance, you will bring in the players, you talk to them about what went well, so that was a great pass, that was a great catch. Then you go on to the negative, which is maybe how they can improve. Maybe you keep on the eye on the ball to catch it next time. And then to end it on a positive, you say, if you do keep your eye on the ball, you'll catch him out and then you'll win the game. So the participants will be more rewarded if they do listen to the coach. And that ending on a positive makes them more maybe motivated or keeps them more positive about the sport and making them want to come back. So that brings me to the end of my presentation. As you can see the bibliography here. Thank you very much for watching and listening. I hope you enjoyed it.